Hello and welcome. I'm Polly, and I have a lovely, lovely guest today that is going to share her greatest message. But before we find out what that is, let me introduce to you Kristin of Garage Pilates. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. Nice to see you.
You also. So you and I have probably known each other. I don't know. How many years have we known each other?
It has been since 2015 or 16.
Yeah, I would say like 5 years. So
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so we touch base periodically, and I think one of the things that I love about Kristin is that your ability to manifest, right? Your ability to decide you're going to do something, and then you do it, and not only do you do it, it's done. Like, it's so successful. So tell me a little bit about what you've manifested.
Ooh. So,
Well, you manifested a lot, but
yeah. So the big story I think that's super relevant here is the garage Pilates component. And I've loved Pilates forever. I had a house where I got some equipment in my garage. So if you don't know anything about Pilates, it's a workout regime created by Joseph Pilates. He created it on a mat, just using your body as resistance, and then it progressed with him into different apparatus. So there's a reformer, there's a Cadillac, there's just different equipment. So as I was teaching, in random studios and physical therapy offices, I really wanted my own equipment and my own space to kind of manage my schedule more. So I got that. I got a reformer, put it in the garage, hence the name Garage Pilates. But I kept wanting like my own studio. Something within me just felt like, if I had my own studio space outside the home, it would really legitimize my purpose and my service. So as I began thinking about that, my clientele was just friends and neighbors, and they would refer someone who would refer someone, and it grew very organically. And then it became, well, I'm maxed out. Like I have no more hours that I can devote to this. So the next logical step was, let's look for a space. So we found, and it took a little bit longer than what I'm articulating with here, but over time we found a space. I was able to get a few more reformers and have a very uniform and precise studio that I've always pictured. And it's so funny when I was working with you and we were talking about my career and what I wanted and how I could provide service, I always pictured like just a very white brick wall and then the equipment. But in my mind, I was thinking, well, maybe the white brick wall is on the outside. So as we were looking for a studio space, I was continually looking for a white brick building. Not the case. The studio that we have on the inside is this big white brick wall, and it's kind of like a statement piece. And whenever we do videos and promotional photos, that's always in the background. It's kind of part of our logo at this point, but it's a big white brick wall.
I think that's so important though, because it shows like, sometimes we think something like you were given an image and you were like thinking it has to be this way, but it's not.
Exactly. Yeah. And I have learned that I almost have to get out of my own way, because I can receive the message, the image, but then I put all my opinions in it. And then sometimes it narrows my ability to see the possibilities. So I'm aware of that very much now and try to pull back a little bit so I can see just a little bit more limitless thinking.
Okay. So how has this, because I know you as a spiritual person, like, spiritually aware person. So how does that tie into the work you do?
So I always remember that I am in the service industry and that I am providing something that I truly believe into the depths of my soul, any person could benefit from this work. And I really feel blessed that I get it and that I understand Pilates and yoga so well, and that I can see a body and really know what moves, what poses, what flows would work best for that body, and how stern I need to be with my instruction. Like, do they need a little more love and tenderness, or do they need a little more like directness? So I always remember that is what I'm here for. It's a service. Before I have a clientele session, I kind of take a moment, take that deep breath, And then I always kind of do a little bit of, I mean, this is not like a long process. I'm talking like less than a minute. Just, I know someone's coming in, I have a moment. I call in my guides, my angels, let this be a great session. Let me help this person. Let them have such an engaging and beneficial session with me that afterward they feel like it was a great way to spend time, effort, and money. And let this be a win-win situation. And then I just kind of trust that that's how it's going to go. And then what I do is, it's my style of teaching. A lot of instructors will, one school of thought is you create a lesson plan and you do every exercise, every transition, and this is how you teach. And I wasn't taught to do it that way. We had the opportunity to make a list in our certification program, but it just never really jived with me. I teach more intuitively. And I've recognized that, having worked with you, that is my style of teaching. The person will come in. I prefer to know very little about them. Mm-hmm. And then when they come in, I love just to not even ask too much, just to get them on the machine. And then as the motion picks up and the repertoire begins, then they can disclose whatever they want to, which is important because I need to know if they have any injuries. But it's rarely do they come in and not have an injury that's not obvious, that they're, cowering or protecting or something of that nature. So I teach very intuitively. They're on the machine. I kind of know what's going on. The communication lines are very open. And then inevitably you're going to have clients that you just mesh with and it rolls and you're together forever. And then sometimes you're going to have those that I have learned I can still train anyone, but I put, I call it my force field up, my little protective bubble. Oh, like I do my meditation when I know that someone's coming in that I've worked with before, that maybe it's a struggle for whatever reason. Someone has a bad day, someone's frustrated, they can't move the way they want to, but I'll put like a little protective shield around myself. I kind of create an energy ball and just step into it. And it's my happy bubble. And my job is to push out happy, but nothing can permeate and come in, because I'm in the service industry and I am here to make their time with me better. And so that's when I keep it focused on that, it seems to go well.
And I love, so you joined me on a small version retreat in October, right? And I loved the cues. So you led us through something at a vortex, and I loved the cues. And my daughter was with us.
Yeah.
And she loved the cues. Like, your cues were so good. Like, right?
I love that compliment. Yes.
You don't get lost. And we're doing a big, relatively big. You're in charge of 14 people in like a month, right?
I'm pumped. Yes.
Yeah. And there's going to be all different abilities there. Mm-hmm. And so intuitively, how are you going to, well, not only that, so you've got different abilities, but we're also really working like, our intention is to really work with a lot of spiritual healing that weekend. And so do you bring in healing energy as a practice in your work that you do with people?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all in the purpose of becoming better. So that heals from within. Of course, the obvious would be, your muscles need to be stronger. Your joints need to be protected. The muscles need to have a certain amount of flexibility. Like, that's all getting better. But if we're not in a place mentally where we can kind of take a step back and let our bodies move a little bit organically and receive any kind of spiritual guidance that we're given, then it just locks up. So it all works together. The whole idea of mind, body, spirit is key. So definitely we'll be incorporating that. When I have a group, and this is the retreat that we went to in October, our intention was I was going to lead a little bit of a movement flow once we got to the vortex. Yeah. But then we, as it progressed and we all kind of, I think you brought in a message for each of us, and there were a lot of emotions running, and the flow changed. Mm-hmm. And afterward, everyone had been sitting and we had been driving. So we just did some standing hip openers, stretch and hamstring release and lower back traction. And that's just what I felt called to do. And everyone was very receptive, and it seemed to be like, that's what we all needed.
It's what people said that, because I think you asked like what body part. And I think that was the thing, is everybody was thinking their hips. Everybody
yes. Yeah. So. Hips. And that's always and we hold so much emotion in our hips that oftentimes when I get someone, on the reformer, the Pilates reformer, and we get moving. And it rarely does it happen their first session with me, but after the comfort level increases and they feel safe and they know that this is a movement they can trust, I'm someone they can trust, they let their guard down. And opening up the hips is a big deal emotionally. There's been tears, there's been anger, there's been laughter, it's a release. And the right and left side are so different. I mean, we're asymmetrical. We feel like we're even, but not the case. So opening up the right hip can give a different feel than opening up the left.
So I wonder, I'm just kind of thinking out loud now. Okay, I have one question I'm going to ask you, then I'm going to go back to this. Have you ever had been working with somebody and it had kind of oh my God, I didn't know, have this awareness with them? So that's one question. We'll go back to, because this is just the way my brain works. The next question is, just thinking about what's coming up for us, I wonder if we should do something like a opening and a closing, right? So
yes.
So on a retreat, because we're going to do a sunrise and hopefully a sunset ceremony every evening. And so you'll do something with opening and closing so that we can kind of shut down and go sleep, because we have to get back up.
And the opening would be more like we kind of open up. Think of cobra and up dog, and your chest is just open. Your heart is ready to receive. You're ready to receive all divine light and inspiration. And then all the goodness happens. And then for the closure, you kind of take everything with you and you pull it into your locks. And we kind of lock through the root chakra and into the navel to spine and kind of pull it all in to hold on to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I love it. Okay, so because you're very intuitive, obviously, the way you're working is very intuitive. So have you had any experiences with people where you're receiving messages, like maybe from somebody that's crossed over, or receiving messages about them?
So I get physical things. So, and it's always on their bodies. I really feel that the purpose is for their body to feel better. So when I'm training them and I'll have them lying down, I'll ask them to do a move, and then I will feel a burning in my body somewhere. And I'll say, so then I look at that part of their body, and then I'll usually key on, the hip's too high. So I'll tell them to elongate that side body, and they'll fix it and be like, oh yeah. And it feels much better. I had one client in particular, probably 2 years ago, because it was in the white brick wall space. And she was moving and just kind of crunched in. And so I was queuing up things in the upper body, and I kept my stomach was hurting. And I thought, oh my gosh, do I need to use the restroom? I'm cramping, what's happening with me? And then it clicked about 5 minutes later, this isn't about you. Open up and understand. And so I had her, we did some muscle tightness. She held so much in her lower abdomen, just tightness. And it wasn't her protecting up here, her heart. It was her trying to protect her seed center, really tight in the lower belly. So then the opening up of the area target changed, and the completely different workout where we focused more on lower body and extension in the lumbar spine and things that I typically don't do because most clients have a tight lower back. And so it transitioned into a workout that I could have never planned. And I just knew how to cue her and how to release what she was feeling. But to look at someone, I have an idea, but then once they get on the machine, I feel it in my body. And it's always just a warm burning. It's not super uncomfortable, but it's definitely present.
It's awareness.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you able to do this virtually? If somebody could, over Zoom?
Yes, I don't feel like I'm as good at it as if I'm right there present with them. And I have to stand back. So right now I'm fairly close. I have to stand back and kind of look at their whole body. So there's just certain limitations I have, but definitely the pings are there.
Okay, I'm curious about this now that we're talking. You could probably do when we're doing our meditation, our ceremonies.
Yeah.
You could probably go one morning, focus on 4 people and see if there's something going on in their body, because how we hold things in our body that was on an energetic, right? So
Yeah.
maybe that's something that we can explore, is like every morning you work with one or two, with a few people
Yeah,
in releasing some stuff.
definitely. That's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay,
It
remember
would
it.
be, it is better. Like if I can kind of, because you get the idea of the collective, like there's
Yeah,
all this
yeah,
that vibe. And then when you hone in, it's just a little bit clearer.
Yeah, so we could do like maybe 3 or 4 people each morning.
Yeah.
That
That's a
might
good
be
idea.
fun. So
Yeah.
okay, so you'll have to help me remember.
Yes.
I already warned Kristin that I'm a little spacey.
And I
Spacey.
like it.
So you have to we just have to roll with it. But I think that would be a really fun thing to do. And like one day, I think our second full day, we're doing energy work. We're going to do some healing stuff so we can bring more of that into that.
Good. That's good. And it's important to me when I meet everyone that I really build a bit of relationship. I want them to feel like they're safe with me.
Yeah.
If there's any kind of block, how like someone just puts up a shield.
Yeah.
And you can sense it, if you're at dinner with them, but also when you're trying to work with them and they're just like, no, then it's hard to, I need them to be on board too. And people are more on board if they like you.
Well, and plus, if somebody's coming to this retreat,
they're on board.
They're on board.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That's what's so nice about it, right? Because you know what you're working with. You're working with people who are ready for transformation, who have an open heart. They're ready to receive.
Yeah. And you can start like right away.
Yeah. It's a very sharing energy. Okay. So if you had a message, like what would your greatest message for humanity be? Or you know what this feels like? Because I know you have children, but it's almost like you have the greatest message for these kids growing up. What would that be?
This is probably the easiest thing for me to answer.
Yeah.
But let me give you some background information.
Yes.
So this became clear to me. I have 3 kids, and I was practicing Pilates and yoga very religiously during all the pregnancies. And it just felt good to move. And I didn't really have any friends that were pregnant at the same time or anything. It felt like it was my thing, and John and I were just going on this adventure, and it was very
that 3-child adventure.
Yeah. One of those.
Yeah, exactly. I'm on the same adventure.
It's never ending. And I just, after I had the first one, I was like, I trusted the hospital a lot to guide me, and it went off without a hitch. Like everything went as perfect as it could have. But I just kept thinking about some things I didn't want to do that I was just easily led because I didn't, I'm following the leader here. And it really, I remember like I was nursing her and it just clicked so clearly, follow your instincts, like go with your intuition, listen to who you are. And after that, it was a game changer for me. And for my next, 2 pregnancies and childbirth, it was my way, and I did it my way. I wasn't crazy about it. I would have conversations with the doctors, but there were just certain things that I was totally open to doing, other things that I was definitely not feeling were the right move. And whenever any clients would ask me like, what kind of motherly advice, what did you do? I said, what was right for me was right for me, but you've got to really think, what do I want this to look like? And then follow your intuition. And I tell my kids that all the time. If something doesn't feel right, if you like, oh, it gives me a stomach ache or it's not right in my gut, that whole vagus nerve situation is real. And you have to listen to your body. There are a handful of times I didn't, and boy, was that a mistake. So I think if we all trusted ourselves a little bit more, then we would find a smoother path. And just luck would be on our side because our bodies and our minds know where to take us. We just have to listen to our heart and go there.
I love that. As you were learning to listen to your intuition and trust it, because obviously you've now built a business on it and you're raising family on it. Did you go through an awkward, like almost like where you had a little bit of a change? So you were living your life a certain way, married with a husband, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to start listening to my intuition more. Was there this awkward time, the shift of the old Kristin to the new one?
Yes. So this is, and you know, life is a journey and everything. And I'm happy to be on this side of this part of the journey and reflect and do so with a smile and a giggle and a full heart. But John and we met when we were 23. I'm 46 now, so half a lifetime ago, if you will, and got married at 27. Our 3 kids are fairly close in age. So Lauren is, when she was 4, I had a son and a newborn. So 3 kids under 4 is a lot. And we were still fairly new in his career. I had been working in pharmaceutical sales, and then I made the transition to start teaching Pilates. And I wasn't doing it at my own studio. In fact, I was doing it supplementally just to fill, you know, the need within me to serve, my physical need to move. And John's job would take us to various, I mean, we've lived Northern California, Midwest, New York, Southern California, all over due to his job. And I would be able to just get a job at a Pilates studio on work on the weekends when he could stay home with the kiddos. And that sufficed for a while. But we were spending time on, he was working, trying to build a career. And I was trying to catch up with these 3 kids and still kind of service my own heart and what my purpose was. And we sunk. We ended up splitting. And we spent a year, almost a year and a half apart. I was living in Missouri with the kids, and my parents lived there. And they had some health problems at the time. So the kids, we kind of spun it to them, you know, like, well, we're going to go take care of grandma and grandpa, but mom and dad are going to take some time apart. And they were so young at this point that they didn't really process it. John stayed in San Diego and continued to work, and we saw each other twice a month. We had like 50-50 with the kids, but it didn't even get to like a legal, you know, situation. We were spent, and it was a struggle. And that's when, Polly, that's when I first like reached out to you. It was right after we wrapped everything up in Missouri, and the kids and I came back, and the youngest one started kindergarten, and we were back in Southern California. And I was just trying, you know, I had put on my happy face and I got the kids ready, and John and I were still trying to work through everything. And at this point, his career had taken off. I had a reformer in the garage, a little more clientele, and we're just doing our best. And the kids are super busy, but we were so clear on what we wanted and so able to communicate. And then you helped a lot too. So thank you for that. Just being purposeful in all my actions. So there was no kind of flippant, you know, well, I'm going to do this. It was very much like, what is my end game? What is my goal? I want to open a Pilates studio. Mm-hmm. Does this next action I'm about to take go with that goal? Like, is it on the path or not? And John was amazing. He's just so supportive. And it was like, we just talked about it last weekend. We were like, and never did I ever think I would say, I'm so glad that we did that we were separate, that we pulled apart for a year and a half. I'm so thankful we had that time, because it was a gut check. And it was very much like, okay, this is my one life, and what do I want to do with it? And who do I want to spend it with? And I can say without a shadow of a doubt, there's no one else I would rather be with but John. And I'm fairly certain he would say the same about me. And this path we're on.
Right? I mean, thank you so much for sharing, because that's definitely a very personal story, but it's so powerful. And I think that there's something important there to recognize that as we have an internal shift, our outside world changes.
Completely. For sure.
And you had to just go with it. Like you didn't necessarily know what's it going to look like 6 months from now.
No. And it was just that mantra of what is the next best step? And that was it. And then the whole idea, and this has been a challenge for all my life, trusting that, because I'm a doer and I want to like get stuff done. And there's a time when you have to just say, you know, you're clear on what you want, but you have to pull back and just trust that it's there and you'll get there. And it's hard for someone who wants to do, but the trust is there, and that's where you're headed, and it'll happen for sure.
But one of the things that sticks out to me, and I've thought about this a lot, you know, part of your story that's so important to me is that you had a partner that supported you, because through this journey of opening up your business, and I know you guys have different choices along the way, you have a partner that believes in you. You have a partner that sticks by your side. You have like an amazingly supportive partner. And I don't know that you would have had that had you guys not had that time apart, because he recognizes the value of you in his life.
Agreed, completely. Yeah. And so then again, it's like, trust the timing.
Yeah.
Would I have wanted a big Pilates studio 10, 15 years ago? Probably, but would it have been this amazing and fulfilling? Probably not.
Yeah. Well, because also I don't know the people that you work with, but I follow your lovely story on Instagram, and it's, you know, they look amazing. They look beautiful. It's just like such a, you know, it looks like such a great place to be, right? And you've attracted that. You've manifested these amazing teachers that work with you, which is so lovely.
I mean, it's so like pinch myself happy. I love it.
Yay.
Life is good.
It is good. Well, Kristin, thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you're here, but I'm really grateful that you're going to take part in the retreat that's coming up.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's going to be amazing.
And we will do more. I was thinking, because I love doing them in Sedona, but then lately I've been thinking, wow, what's wrong with doing one in Hawaii or or Costa Rica, right?
A tropical spin. Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
I'm down.
Yeah, I am too. So
especially now when I feel like we haven't done much, like we're ready.
Yeah, I know. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So for people to connect with you, what's the best way?
So the website is garagepilates.net. Instagram is a very easy way to communicate with me. Our Instagram account is just Garage Pilates, all one word. And you can send messages or follow along with the retreat. We'll post a bunch of stuff with that. Email Kristin, Kristin, @garagepilates.net. And
awesome.
I check it all. So this is another thing I'm working on. I haven't released the social media management or the direct emails. I still intercept everything and return all customer inquiries. So it will be me.
Okay, and if for some reason you can't reach, you know, whatever, then you can always contact me, and I will still can't even talk. Well, steer you towards Garage Pilates and Kristin. But I can tell you, she's a lovely person to get to know.
Thank you.
So yeah, and so those of you that are watching that are coming to the retreat, you will get to know her very well, which is so exciting.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. And I'm gonna.
Thank you so much.